introduction to database system. We have see unit one is also having own name, that is the introduction to database system. Inside this, we have a topic that is the database architecture. Before discussing the database architecture, just let me clear to all once again. Database architecture means is saying to us the architecture or what is the layout or representation of the database inside the memory, inside the system, and what is the flow of the particular thing. But I am taking my class here today in two parts. One is what kind of the architecture we are following. Okay, so let me get to all once again. What kind of the architecture we are following, and internally, what is the structure of our architecture of the database? So this is a point we have to keep in mind. These things are not these things are available anywhere, but this is not taking by your syllabus. So I'm taking this step before explaining the database architecture. What is the type or what is the nature of the architecture we will follow? And see, this is a part of the R project implementation. This is a part of the R real world situation. That's why I'm taking this part. So database architecture we have over here. I have written the theoretical portion more over here for notes purpose only, nothing especially. So summarizely, I can say here the points over here. Database architecture basically helps in development, implementation, design, and maintenance of the database to store and organize the information by the various sources. So, as a student, as a faculty, if I need to implement a project, so I will create a database. So, on what tool I'm using and what is the pattern I'm taking to implement my project and how we are accessing information. So, all these are under come into the database architecture. So just like example of the C++ programming, if you try to read some information, so how you will do? You will write a program, and when you try to compile and run the program, then you will see you're putting some information. This information first goes into the computer system, and memory will play important role to handle all these data. And then after the machine or processor RAM will play important role at the time for execution of your program. So ultimately, hardware and software will work togetherness. Same thing here we can say the architecture is of the database is more important while building a project. So internally, how database will work, that is the important point. So this is the point from which we need to start the learning. And database architecture basically categorized by the two important part. One is a single layer and other one is a multi-layer, and this is also known as the single tier and multi-tier. Single tier means as a user, I am directly communicating to my database. So just like example, this one, I can take a simple example. If you want to communicate me directly, so as a faculty and student is making a relationship. So what is this? This is the one tier architecture. So unlike this one, you are trying to communicate database directly. It means we are following the one tier architecture. Okay, so step by step, I will tell you. So here we have to see the important point over here. Single tier architecture and multi-tier architecture, and single tier architecture also. See, this is a single tier. It is the one, and then multi-tier. Multi-tier architecture also having single tier means one tier architecture. Multi-tier means two tier and three tier. It can have the entire no issue. So from this perspective, we have to start our learning. So first we are looking for the where are the various architecture types, and at the last we will see the architectures. Why? Because architecture, internal architecture will be same, nothing will be changed. But what are the various places where we can use such architecture? That's why I have taken my slides like in these two portions. First one we need to see the type of the architecture. Okay, so that is the first point. Okay, should we continue or any doubts so far?
No, sir, clear.
Okay, good. So architecture of the database management system, I am putting into the three parts. One is a one-tier architecture, two-tier architecture, and three-tier architecture. Let me start beginning with the one-tier architecture. So I'm reading the definitions from my notes over here so you can understand. In one-tier architecture, basically what is saying to us, the database directly available to the database management system user for executing the SQL query and storing the data in it. It means inside the user and database, no other application program will be interfaced. Just like example, as a student, okay, see, as a student, you are communicating to BC sir. You can do. But if you are communicating directly to the BC sir, as a student directly communicating BC sir, then what is happening? You are communicating directly to the BC sir. BC sir just like a database. Okay, I'm just taking simple example. Okay, do not take this serious matter right now, but for example understanding, I'm taking. So student become as a user and BC sir become as a database. So you are directly communicating to the BC sir. It means no, you are not asking your proctor, you are not asking your dean. Okay, so that is what I'm just accessing the data directly without any problem. So the real application we can see over our laptop, so desktop. Our database is stored on our laptop and desktop, and finally we are accessing information without any other sources because the database is stored into my laptop as well. As I am accessing my information over my laptop only, so I am directly communicate to the database without any other interface. Am I right? Is it clear to all right now? Simple program.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And yes, anyone who need to ask any question right now? Is it clear what is mean by the one tier architecture?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, good, super. Next, we have a two-tier architecture. So I have taken this slide with the lots of the content over here. So I'm just removing the unnecessary point over here, and you will be able to understand the concept in simple. So let me explain all this concept properly. Yes, that's fine. A two-tier architecture is a best example for the client server machine. Now, let me explain what is mean by the client server machine. So there is server. Okay, there is server. This is known as the server, and there are other clients. Maybe C1, C2, and C3. So if you are using the local network, please focus on the my words. I'm just following. I always like to speak the technical term in clear way. Suppose you are using the local network. I'm not talking about the intranet or internet other things. Please focus on the local network. So you are accessing the local network of your university, and from the hostel you are trying to get some information from our server. So we are not having the one client. It means we are not having the one student. We can have the many students. Okay. So all these students are accessing the same information or maybe the different information from the same database. But are they able to access directly? No, because client one or student one is will be applicable to access the data directly. But here we are not bind by to share the information to the single person. Multiple person can connect and multiple person can access the data simultaneously or followed by some algorithmic approach. So it's a better idea to we need to introduce an API. This is the application programming interface to provide the interface. Okay. Here I have written the some technological term and we need to understand all these terms properly. So the clear and doubts must be properly. So this is what this is the API. So API is very big question we should have in our mind. So what is API? API basically stands for the application programming interface. This is a small utility or program which make an interface between the server to the clients. That is the reason so two-tier architecture will be available over here. But how we can say these are the two-tier architecture? This is a simple step. First, server will communicate to the API and API will communicate to the client, and this process also could go for vice versa. So here, two steps you have to take. That's why we have the two-tier architecture. We have to follow the two steps. This is a simple points we can see. But if we're talking about the real life situation, real life example in technical aspect, those students who were involved in the Java programming and if they have created the Java program, so they can understand. Yes, tell me anyone who knows the Java programming?
Yes, sir.
Any other student? Okay. So those students who don't know Java, so no problem. But this is the point we have to keep in mind. I'm taking this concept with simple example. So listen here properly. You have created a database on the MS Access. Okay. MS Access is an example of the database which is developed by the Microsoft. Am I right? Yes or no? Yeah. Along with me, say yes or no.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Java is a what? Java is a programming language. Am I right? Java is a programming language for used to create the program. Just tell me, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now listen carefully. Java, with the help of the Java programming, if I need to access the database from the MS Access, I'm speaking once again. Please focus on the mic words. From the Java programming language, if I need to access the database from the MS Access, now how it is possible? No. Why? Because Java is already developed by the Sun Microsystem. Now it is collaborated with the Oracle in today era, as we know. But previously it was designed by the Sun Microsystem, while MSX is designed by the Microsoft. So how these two different technologies and how these two different platform-based activity will perform? Because Java is totally independent from the platform architecture, while MSX is installed over the MS Windows only. That is what we have to keep in mind. So how these two technology can be connected or can communicate. So that is my point. So API just like a translator. It will not translate, but it is just like a translator. You know the French, I don't know the French, and what you will know. I know the English, but you know the French. So how we can communicate and how we can learn each other words? Simple. We have a translator. So just like the API is not a translator, but it treated as a like this one. So API provide an interface between API, it is the application programming interface, is an is provide an interface between both technology. So definitely the mutual understanding will be both technology. So data sharing will be easy. Okay, so data sharing will be easy. If API not using, so data sharing will not be easy, and again you will get the error again and again. That is the reason. Now this is happening where because now over the internet you have seen so many times. You have the Linux operating system, so you are using the Mozilla or Safari or web browser you can use. But in the Windows operating system, by default, I'm using the Microsoft Edge. But I'm getting the same home page. I'm able to see the same content which is available over the internet. Why it is not changing? I'm using the Safari, so content should be changed, color should be changed. It is happening? No, because due to the interface, the mutual understanding, the mutual sharing the information will be there. That was my reason. So JDBC basically is saying to us this is the end name of the API. JDBC Java Database Connectivity is the name of the API which provide the connection between the Java applications and MS Access. That was my point. Okay, so far have you any doubt? So you have any doubts? Please you can ask.
Sir,
No,
API is unclear.
Yeah, API is not a software. It is a kind of the small tool or utility program. These are the utility programs which are used to access the information. So just like I'm telling a real example. You are using the WhatsApp application. Am I right? You are using the WhatsApp application. Just tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
yes, sir.
So yeah, WhatsApp application does not contain your contact details. Tell me yes or no. No.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So WhatsApp application does not contain your contact details. While installing or while downloading the WhatsApp application, it asks some permission. It asks the permission. We have to access your contact detail and to access the or to share the message. So if you are giving the permission to the WhatsApp application, the contact list basically which stores the information of your mobile contacts. Then there will be internal small program, which is not identified by the user simply, but this is identified by the our operating system, and operating system, that is a Android in our mobile, will make an interface to the WhatsApp followed by the contact list. So sharing will be there. So if operating system is not supporting this feature, so sharing will not be, or the WhatsApp message will not be applicable. You will see only the WhatsApp that is installed, but you are not able to access any contact details. That is the reason. That is the reason. So while updating our features or while updating our version of the any applications, again it will ask the permission. Okay, the images we have to take the permission, videos permission, and content details and so on. So it will also so many permission in one dialog box. That is the reason. So this permission means we are making the interface to the such application to the our operating system, that is the Android. Same in the case of the our operating system, Windows and Linux or any operating system, it is required to provide an interface. If this interface we are not providing, so how we can communicate? That is it. Just like example, I am taking real application now. See, listen, as a student, okay, student has a lots. The student has lots of the problem, and definitely, genuinely, student has lots of the problem, undoubtedly, and busy sir, they just want to communicate. Okay. So as a student just want to communicate with the PC sir, then sir, I have some problem. I need to talk to the PC sir. So PC sir will say you have to communicate to the proctor first rather than try communicating to me, because your proctor must be known to all these things. So what are these? Your proctors, your deans.
API.
Yeah, this all these are just like APIs. Good. So because these are making the interface to the our BC. So this is what these are the API. So that is the point, my point. So JDBC is not a name of the software. It is a API which is used or which is automatically installed while installing the Java. That was my portion. Okay, so this is the point you have to keep in mind while learning the thing. Since 1998, first time I just worked on the Java programming, so you can understand. I have been associated with the first tier, one tier architecture, three tier architecture, and two tier architecture. And 2004, 2005, it was my experience. So I'm sharing over here. 2004, 2005, GDBC was successfully used, but after the 2005, and when the 2000, when the NetBeans along with the Windows 7 is coming, and we are using the NetBeans over the Windows 7, then JDBC is not much used. JDerby is basically a small interface which are automatically available. Because in the Java database connectivity or JDBC, we have to manual configure. So manual configuration will be there, but automatically configuration based on system requirement, but automatically configured by the JDerby. So in the NetBeans, you will see the JDerby is a provide an interface to connect the database with the application program, that is Java. So you can do easy work. So that is also kind of the API. That is the mind. Okay, so I have already associated with the 1998 to 2021 Java, C, C++, Python, whatever the problem you have, you can ask me anytime. So I've already associated. So I have spent lots of the year in the technological aspect, so I'm much aware about the things what I'm speaking. That is it. So I'm speaking here with the help of my experiences only. So just like the deans and proctors or the interface you are communicating. So that is the reason. You can't communicate directly with the PC. You can communicate, but at the time you are following the one tier architecture. But if you need to make a proper channel, then other interfaces will be applicable. Because BCs are also having the lots of work, they will not be involved the thousand students simultaneously. So proctors and BCs needs are they have their jobs to maintain the to handle the students problem. So that is the reason. So with the help of these APIs, we can handle the other problems as well. So this is the reason. Okay. So from this perspective, we can say this is a simple concept to understand the two tier. And why two tier? Because two steps we have to take. This is simple concept. Okay. So for your helping purpose, I'm giving the idea because these points are not given to the any books, but I'm giving the here idea because of my experiences. Okay. Now, is it clear to right now?
Yes, sir.
And and ODBC is totally gone into the market. Now open database connectivity we have in the Windows 10 as well. In Windows 7 we also have, but no one will use right now, and no one will using. No one will be using this ODBC. ODBC was used when we are communicating to when we are accessing the database with the Java and other. I did lots of the work. I did the so many project by using the ODBC, JDBC, ODBC. There is interface name is available in the Java and Windows. Okay, that is JDBC, ODBC interface. Just so much popular interface. Okay. So from this perspective, two tier architectures, we have next one that is a three tier architecture. But before that, we have this image. So you will be able to see this image. So one tier architectures, we have the client computer, and client computers are connected to the directly our database. That is a file because all the files are stored over here. But in the two-tier architecture, clients are connected to a database server, but followed by an API. In between, we can have the many API. It is also possible, but that is under compared to the entire architecture, because if we are expanding our database architecture in various places or different applications, so definitely API can be many. So from this clearance, we have to understand the three-tier architecture. This is a two-tier architecture diagram. I have discussed this architecture with the other slot as well, so I'm speaking some points about here. So listen carefully. As a clients manager, many clients. As I told you, APIs with the help of the API, they are connected to the database server. So now we will see. So this the right hand side diagram I have already explained here. Right hand side diagram was already explained over on the this slide on the above side. You can see carefully. Now, left hand side diagram is saying to us as a user. User just treated as a student. Yeah, of course, definitely it could be student, faculty, anyone. So, which application we can access the data? Yes, of course. With the any tools, any application we can access. The student asked me, sir, can you show me the proof? So I showed the proof with a simple way. It's very simple idea. Suppose you are using a web browser. Okay. Suppose you are using a web browser. You can use the web browser. So you are putting the email URL, you are typing the google.com and so and so, then you are accessing the particular information. You are accessing the particular information from the Google. So the web browser, that is Mozilla, Microsoft Teams, Chrome, whatever you want to use, you can use. So a message will go through your system to the via our web browser to the system. That is the reason. Please keep in mind that is the reason we are accessing the our information. We are happy to see the our value. We are accessing the directly. No, it is not happening. The same thing in the our system. We have internally lots of the API. Few APIs are hidden. And have you ever seen the task manager while our system is trying to hang? So internal some services are going on to manage your all the applications. Have you seen all these things? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So all these services under the Windows 10, Windows 7, whatever application, what is the operating system you want to use in Linux, you have seen these services are nothing which are the APIs to maintain or to manage your tasks on the operating system. That is the reason. So application could be anything which is written by any tool, could be HTML. So with help of the HTML, you can open the you can see the output of the HTML code on the web browser. And while the web browser, if I'm trying to communicate, I'm trying to read some information, then I can read. So that is my point. And ultimate, finally, we are getting the database from the our server. That is I'm talking about right now, local level. So far, I was not connected to the internet. So local level, I'm trying to connect the information. I'm trying to get the information. So there will be some API. See, what is the tool by which I'm getting the information? That was my point. I think I'm remembering a simple example. Just Bluetooth. Bluetooth, I'm remembering the best example. You can't use the Bluetooth 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer. You can have the limited radius. So your friend is sending some message to you via the Bluetooth, or you are sharing some videos or files as of required by the Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is what? That is a API, internal API, an application you are using for Bluetooth accessing. That is a application. Internally, it has hardware, Bluetooth hardware. So with help of the hardware software, that becomes an interface, and you are accessing the getting the file. Gender was so much famous. Okay, if you remember my words, Gender was okay. Share it. So there are the various applications by which we can share our information without access the internet. So at a time, your device or your friend device becomes a small network. So there's an interface by which you are getting the information. If they are not making the interface, then how you can access? So that is the reason. Suppose you are trying to make the communicate, then our interface is not making perfectly. So again, you try again. You will say, "अरे भाई, तुम्हारे device detect ही नहीं हो रही." So this is what the device is not detecting, because maybe there's some problem, technical issue. So you can restart the device. and this is really happening into the database as well. And this is a two-tier architecture. Okay, so this was my point. Yes, tell me right now. Yes, is it clear to all right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, good. So from this point, I have the another words, and I'm truly speaking right now because I have spent so many times into the technology, learning the technology. Now we are the part of the two-tier architecture by default. Then you should ask, so how? It's very simple. In our laptop, now we are calling the advanced operating systems. Windows 10 is good. Now we have the various flavor of the Linux operating system, Fedora, OpenSUSE, and Red Hat, and so on. In talking about the Windows 98 ME 95, I spent lots of the year over the Windows 3.1, which is not an operating system. This is an application program. Windows 95 was the first operating system from the Microsoft. Next we have the 98. Next we have the ME. Then we have the NT. Then we have the 2000, 2000. So NT was the first operating system which by which we can make the system as a server. But previously the earlier version was not becomes as a server. So what was the problem actually? We are trying to access the information simple way. We are not easy to access. That was the reason. So at a time, what you will do, you will try to connect your system with the help of the API. But at the time, the databases we have you just earlier version of the MS Office. MS Office by default now we have the MS Office. Okay, but earlier MS Office was simple, we can install. But at the time, if we need to access the older version, I'm talking about the older version of the MS Access, that is MS 97. So through the MS Access 97, if we have the database and other application want to connect, then API is required. So, but in today's era, no internal API is required. It automatically detect and automatically manage. So it's gonna and everyone will be happy. Okay, I'm calling the one time. No, now we are a part of the two-tier architecture by default. This is the my point you have to keep in mind while learning or developing the projects. So by default, what we have, they are the part of the two-tier architecture. It see lots of the API already implemented inside the system. Nothing is required. I'm talking about right now my experience, and please listen carefully. Those students who were involved in the Java programming. Everyone was involved in Java programming or some of the students? Just tell me right now.
No, sir.
Okay, so no problem. So if you are not aware about the Java programming, so but I am giving the some hint here that would be beneficial for fundamental part. It is a matter of the 2005, 2000, 2003, 4, 5, something like this one. If you want to run Java program, then your system must have a JVM. Then you will say, sir, what is JVM? JVM is nothing. JVM is an interface that provides the linking between the your Java applications and operating system. But in case of 2003, if I'm using the Windows XP, then I need to see JVM is enabled or JVM is installed or not. So additionally, I have to install such application that is to become JVM. So when I did work on the 99, it's around 2000, when I made a project in Java programming to access the data, then I need to check I'm using the Windows 98, then what I need to do? I need to install a small utility, JVM. But even talking about the 2021, after the 20 years, then what I'm saying and what I'm seeing observed in my laptop, JVM is already installed. It's not, I'm talking about this 2021. After the around 2006 to 2007, when 2009, when I did lots of work over the Windows 7, I found Windows JVM, that is Java Virtual Machine, is small utility which is used to execute the Java programs, is already available. So no need to install because it is coming from the newer version. So earlier version you are using, we can't run the Java program. We have to install, we have to copy the JVM into the our machine. That was reason when technology, after technology change, automatically upgradation we have. Same inspired from such story or such a factor, we are the part of the two-tier architecture by default. MySQL I'm giving you right now. Suppose I'm still working on the MySQL. So by default, I'm working on the two-tier architecture internally. internally, because some internal APIs are available, I'm not to communicate directly. MySQL is, you can install the MySQL over the Windows or Linux, so it is not dependent, machine dependent. That is the point. So by default, now we are the part of the two-tier architecture. This is the point you have to keep in mind. But while working, we feel that no, we are working on the single-tier architecture. But practically or technologically, we are putting the two-tier architecture. That is my point. Okay, so now it is clear to all from my experiences.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so while you are writing, see, some of the students are working on the PHP and they are using the, okay, this web server I am using. Okay, you are using now, but you are already part of the two-tier architecture. But how you are understanding, how you are looking for your project, that's your choice. Okay, but if you will that, sir, I have only the single laptop, local machine I'm using, so one tier. No, you are pulling the two-tier architecture by default internally. That is the method. Okay, so this two-tier architecture is clear to all right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So this slide I will tell you later on, but before that, I just need to understand or give the some idea of the three-tier architecture. Now we have the question set. Now again, after the we will see both. No, in generalized way, we will see only the one, two, and three-tier architecture, and then we will see the entire architecture. So that is the reason we have to keep in mind. So unlike the two-tier architecture, one additional steps we have to include over here, and that is known as the three-tier architecture. In this architecture, we have the three different layers. First one is presentation layer, and next one is application layer and database. Now again, we have the question, so what do you mean by the presentation layer? Simple, nothing else. Like a two-tier architecture, we have seen the client and server. These are the two things. In the presentation layer, basically totally belong to the client layer, because client is the machine where the presentation will be there. I will tell you the example, then you will be happy to see the answer. Now, next one is application layer. Application layer is known as the business logic layer, because all the logic will be run over there, and that is the reason, because information exchanging, passing, that will be there. Next one, we have the database layer. Database layer means we are accessing the database directly. Moving to the example, it is better idea to I should explain this concept with help of the example rather than the unnecessary theory. So this theory just I am sharing only for notes purpose, not especially anything. So I'm explaining this concept here properly, so you can easily understand. Now, after understanding one tier or two tier, let me explain three tier architecture detail, simple way. So you will see. Oh, so yes, we are getting. So three tier architecture I'm talking about. This is the user. This is the user. Okay, and here we have the one database. One database. We can have the many database. No issue. Okay, excuse me for this. My bad drawing. Now you can access this information directly. Tell me, is it possible? You can access. Is it possible or not?
Yes, sir.
Technically, no, sir.
Is it possible or not?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No.
No, it is possible. When it is possible, because we are part of the, when we are the part of the one tier, then it is possible. Okay, is it possible?
Sir,
When we are,
in case of one tire. it is
I'm talking on in case of the one tier, if you are using the one tier, then it is also possible at that time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me change the different color for your betterment so you can understand the thing. You are accessing this information directly with help of the API. Okay, so with help of the API. See, when the they depend on the our functional or project's requirement. So by default, what we are choosing. But by default in today's era, we have the two-tier architecture. But as per the requirement, as per the need, we have this. So with help of the API, you can say, so now I'm the part of the two-tier architecture. Okay, so two-tier, it is clear to all. But when talking about the three-tier architecture, so let me explain three-tier architecture with a different color so you can understand. Three-tier architecture is most applicable when we are discussing the internet. Now, internet is a part of our life, so nothing will be happen with the internet. When we are just we can morning times and we're sleeping at the night time, so we are just part of the internet. Internet is a pocket through the mobiles, of course. So here users could be many, users could be one. So I'm taking only the one user for understanding purpose. So I'm saying internet is a part of our life. So this is the point. So when users just trying to access this information, users trying to access this information, just I'm this information. Users trying to get this information and get the reply back from the database server. So this is what is a database server. So I'm writing over here database server. But what happened? User will not directly communicate to database if database is available in the India. You are sitting in the India. You're trying to get the data information which is available in the suppose any other country. So I'm taking the simple example for USA because this is the famous country, other country, and most of the people will love to use or stay in the USA. So USA country. So in the USA, there is a database server you're trying to access from the India. So you will not allow to uh, uh, just to have a cable from your server to the server. No, you will use the internet. Just tell me, am I right? You will not you hook up the one cable your computer system to the that server. That would not be possible. So you will use the internet. Yes, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you will connect first the internet and then your internet will be connected like this. Okay. But in between your internet to your machine to the internet, so there's a user machine. This is a user machine. I'm writing short way. User machine to the internet. There are many substation could be. There are many sub network could be. There are many sub other machines from where your information to be passed. So here could be many APIs. Okay, there could be many hardware tools. There could be many other things. Okay, so all these things you will understand to the computer network subject. Same thing from the internet to the other machine. So internet is nothing which is the collection of the various network. But here I'm taking the cloud diagram for understanding purpose only. But actually it is not happening just like the cloud. But we need to understand. So there could be many other API. These APIs could be from the network devices as well. These API could be in form of the other software application as well. So here we are following these things. So from this point, we have to keep in mind at the user level, what we are following at the user level. I'm just taking this color at the user level. I hope this color will be visible to all. At the user level, we are following the presentation. We are following the presentation here. Presentation here. Okay. So presentation layer means it is a layer or it is a point where the client will start the work. It could be many because user one is connected over here. Same user 2, 3, 4, 5 and user n or m can be connected over here without any doubt. Now, when talking about the database, so this is the database server. So this is also known as the database layer where the actual data is stored. Database layer. So now third layer, that is an intermediate layer. Where is the third layer? Third layer of course will lie over here. So that lie from this point to this point, this point to this point. This is the business logic layer. Okay. I'm writing short with business logic layer. So please understand business logic layer. Okay. Because everything which is required to exchange or transfer the data we will see over here, but this is not able to see by the users only. How see how you are logging into the Gmail, you will get the message immediately or sometimes it will take some time depending on the network connectivity as well. Of course it is also followed by the transferring your data from your machine to the main server. That is it. So that is when we have this part. So three-tier architecture is saying to us you have the many steps, but by default you will see only the 3 steps. Your machine to the internet, internet is also connected by the other network. So here we can have here we can have the here we can have the many steps. So first step you can see user to internet and internet to the machine. You will feel and but directly you will feel that is a direct communication. So you will see okay 3 types. So 3 layers will be applicable there for representing your data to exchange your data from data server to your machine. Now this point is also written over here. Please see the application layer, or we can say business logic layer, database server for exchange of the partially processed data, and this may mediate between the client and the database. That is a so with a real example, I'm telling this one. So this is the point. This is known as the business logic layer or application layer because here there could be many applications and they're used by the network devices or other hardware as well. So this is what this is your three-tier architecture. Three-tier architecture is much applicable where we are talking about the internet. Else by default we are the part of the two-tier architecture or one-tier architecture. But nowadays in our laptop we are the part of the two-tier architecture. That is a simple. So here we can have this point. But before that, just let me explain to all right now. This is an important point you have to keep in mind. When your machine is connected, just like a student is trying to connect his friend who is staying in the Mexico. Suppose student M is who is staying in the Mexico. Student A is staying into the Surat. Okay, this is the Surat. I'm taking a simple example from the India. Okay, and this is the Mexico. So a student who is staying in the Surat and he want to communicate to the Mexico friend, he can communicate, but directly we are communicating. So we are directly communicating, but it is not happening. The Surat is a city of the Gujarat. So first it will go to the state server. That is really happening. I'm speaking. It's a part of the computer network, but I'm sharing here right now. It is necessary to understand. Now, state server will pass to the information to the country server. Okay, that is the point. This is channel. When a country channel will pass the information to other countries province because other countries province because in US states are recognized by the province. Okay, province and province will communicate to the particular city or local area. That is the point you have to keep in mind. So there is channel. So in between we have the lots of the APIs, lots of the connections. So this is the point. But we feel we are directly communicating. I told you just send me mail. So you will send me mail directly. Sir, I send you mail. Yes, I have received. But the point I need to understand: did you send me directly? No. Internally or in the networking field or network conceptual, you are not sending it directly. It is coming to the directly into the my mail only, but it is coded by the various sources, various part. Okay, that is a point we have to keep in mind. So this is a three-tier architecture we have to take while using the internet. So now we are accessing the BTOP. Now I'm coming to my example. When you need to check your attendance, we need to see your result, then you access the internet. So database we have in our system, our university. Then suppose that we have the database server, and you are connected to the internet, and now you are connecting your machine. So pulling by the internet approaches through the, of course, by the BTOP applications through the Mozilla or Microsoft Edge, you're trying to see, or through the other sources, other devices from the mobile. You are not directly connected to the BTOP. You're connected to the various sources. So that was a part of the BTOP. So BTOP is what? That is a good example to understand the database because it contains lots of the information about the more than 1,000 student details, and it also having the marks details. It also having the fee structure details. Here is also having the so many details. So once BTOP is hacked, so any student can change the information, but it is not easy to change all the details because you are not authorized person. So to prevent from the crime, it is better I to understand the concept only. So this is just overall idea about the three-tier architecture. Now, is it clear to all right now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So any doubt in the three-tier architecture? Yes, sir, tell me. In this example, we have the one tier, two tier, and the three tier architectures. How it is happening and what is the sense of this one? So I have explained. Just tell me. Any doubts so far?
Sir,
Uh,
but actually, if you will see two-tier and three-tier architecture, then the three-tier architecture business layer is actually working like a API in two-tier.
Yes, of course. Application layer we will treat it as a API to exchange the information between the intermediate parts. So see, this is suppose this is the one API. This is the second API. So this business logic layer, or we can say the application layer, will pass the information from this layer to this information. So that is necessary. So this is the functionality of the business logic layer, and this is the functionality of the application layer. This is the intermediate layer. Of course, we are on the right track. But this is happening over the internet because in the internet we don't know from which system our information will flow. That is the point. Do you know your information first will go onto the
DNS.
DNS, of course DNS, you can domain name system. You don't know. You can see, you can check by the various tools, but we don't know. As a nervous person, I don't know where the information to is from. That is the point. So it is used to exchange the information between the different or intermediate parts, and those could be the hardware, those could be the other APIs. Yes, yes, on the right track. But in the local level, we are not need to connect the internet. So my machine is passing to the information to my friend's system, and I'm connected by the local system or local level. So no need to use the internet at the time. So at the time, the three-tier architecture is not applicable. Two-tier architecture is sufficient only at the time. That is reason. Now, is it clear to right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
So, yes, tell me.
sir, in three-tier architecture, we have more than one API.
We can have one API or we can have the more than one API. Yes, it is true. And all these APIs are handled by the application layers or business logic layer. That's why it is name given the business logic layer. See, please read this point. Yes, please read this point. Yeah. The application layer, this layer is known as the business logic layer. It acts as a middle layer between the client and the database server. So in between, we can have the many API, we can have the one API.
Sir, but if we have one API, then that tier will be two-tier structure.
Oh, again, see. I'm saying we can have or we can. Maybe you are communicated directly through the internet followed by the only the one. See, by default, we can't have the one API because here one API will be that could be connected by the internet and internet to this database server, we can have the another API. So minimum two APIs will be there, definitely. But over the internet, we don't know how many API will be connected because there is no source to known to the path. That is the reason. So we can say we can have the one API, we can have the two API. So we can say only, but practically or truly speaking, we are following the more than the two APIs, and that is a part of a little bit networking. So see, if you are remembering the house switch, are you remembering? Okay, I'm telling. So to whom you suppose you want to communicate to your friend. So how we can communicate? You are calling to your friend directly.
Yes, sir.
No, you are not calling your friend directly. The first message, first information will pass on to the base server. That is your antenna. You will see in your campus. That is antenna. Then this information will pass on to the MS. MS is the master station. This master station will be the your city antenna, and this city antenna will check your dialing the number is valid or not. If it is valid, and then it will pass to the other base station where the mobile number is available. Then it has the various part, base station 1 2 3 and master station. Master station will be one of the particular city, and then we will have the other base stations. So we are communicating, but we feel that I'm communicating directly to the my friend. I suppose base station is not available in the region where you're trying to call, then you will feel, oh, I'm not getting signal. So what it means, you are not close to the base station, you are not under the radius of the base station. That is the my point. So by default, practically, we must have at least two API or more than two API. But theoretically, we can say we can have the one API, but it cannot be possible. But practically or in the technical, we can have the three architecture. We must have the more than one API. And it should be because other intermediate devices will be connected. That is the reason we can have the more than one base station. We can have the we can have the one master station, but we can have the more than one station. So intermediate we can have the various stations from which our information is passed on. That is the reason. Yes, now tell me.
Understood, sir.
So that is the reason. Okay. So that's why I have drawn over here the three API, and again internet to the database. I have drawn again three APIs over here for understanding purpose only. Ultimately, you will see database server who I'm talking. It could be one tier, two tier, or tier. It doesn't mean. But what is the structure of a database and how it is functionalized inside the memory? That is the point. Because without knowing this point, how you can say that database architecture is complete? I told you about right now here so far. What are the various flavor of the database architecture we can use in the real life situation? This is the point. From this point, we must have the question, sir, what is actual architecture of the database? So that's why we have the next point here from which we need to understand. So now I'm moving to my next slide, from which we need to understand what is the actual output of the actual diagram of the database. Let me understand and let me explain this portion right now. So should I explain the database architecture? Yes. Now I have changed the slide. Yes. So far the three different flavor of the database architecture is clear to all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now after that we have all these diagrams I've explained with another student. So I'm just giving summary. We have already seen. You can see database layer we have, application layer, the intermediate layer we have, and user are connected. But this is the diagram you can see over the internet. You can see all these diagram over the books. But I have explained with a simple example, so you will be able to understand. Yes, sir. Really happy. Okay, so that is the point. So this is my way to explain. I'm putting the concept followed by my own way. And database application layer and client application client. So see, in the database we have, and database also followed by the application server, because it provides the services to the client. So it also having some applications as well. And now client application client. So what is the application the client is using? Mozilla. So you are using Mozilla, I am using the Microsoft Edge. So application could be varied, but ultimate information from the same server I am getting, that will be same. So after this point, we have this diagram. This is the most important diagram. I am writing some words over here. 99.9% this diagram will ask into the midterm examination. It means 100%, there is a 100% probability to ask this question into the examination. Okay, so this is the point you have to keep in mind. So let us understand each and every step properly. Is it visible to all this diagram? Just let me know right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm dividing this diagram into 4 different parts, followed by the different. Yeah. So first one you can see, I'm just dividing the diagram with this. Next, I am dividing this part like this one over here. So you can. And third part I am dividing like this one. You will be able to understand properly. See why I'm dividing, because this diagram you must be remembered while writing the answer. One step you are missing, you will not get the marks. That's the reason I'm saying. And this would be our fourth part. Now let me explain my concept. First part belong to the users category. Okay, first part is belong to the users category. In this case, you will be able to see there are lots of the users are available into the various firm. So now what are those users? Name user. Name users means new users. So new users will able to see only details, just like the students. So student will use the application interface to see the result, to see the marks, to see attendance. They are not able to do anything. They are not change anything. So naive user could be the student and who will connect to directly to the application interface. So here application interface could be the BTOP type. This example. Okay, this is a simple example I'm taking right now for explain purpose. Other users could be the application programmer. They are the smart. They are writing the code for the BTOP updation. So they are accessing the same database, but they are writing something to the BTOP updation. So other user could be the application programmer, and if they are writing the code, so their code will be executed. Executed means their code will be translated. So by the compiler or interpreter. So what the application programs they are using? So it's the organization need what they are using. So they will use the application program. Sophisticated users are the smart users. They will use just to execute the queries only, and by the just selecting the limited options, they will run the query. So they need to see the result only, and how many products are available in this category like this one, and how many students are existing with this part. Sophisticated users in our university, you can see the staff. Staff need to check how many students have to submitted the fees, so they can get the summary and submit the report to the respective department. So this is what is maintained by the or handled by the query tools. So these are sophisticated users. Now, next one we have the database administrator. This is the biggest role to handle the entire database. So as an end user, I am just be a part of the database admin. So I have some right to maintain my database properly. So I will follow some administrator tools, and it means I will follow some rules, okay, and some constraint. The naive user will not able to update anything. Okay, so I will not allow to the naive user student to update anything. That is it. So this was the category which is known as the users. Now, is it clear to all right? Is it clear to all right now?
Yes, sir.
So step by step, you are understanding this picture. You have to remember into the in whole life to understand the database program, because this is the database system. If you are studying properly, this is the first point. This is the first part. We can say users category. So we have seen there are the four users we have over here. Now you can see the all are connected to each other, and it is mandatory. So this dotted line is showing towards the interface between the all these people. This dotted line, which is marked by me in the highlighted red color, and you can see this is what is the interfaces between the different layers. So I am divided my diagram into the four different. Now move to the next level. Application program interface. So definitely naive user will be connected directly to the application programs, and here we have the application program. So internally some object code or some machine language based code will be executed, because users are not naive users are not executing. They are using the just predefined code. They are using the just application only. But application programmer, what the application programmer do? Application programmer will use a database compiler. Database compiler, yes, database compiler. Because database query, what we are typing, what we are writing, that is transformed into the machine language. The machine can easily understand. Machine cannot understand English language. And I'm writing my query into the English statement, just like typing the program into English language. Same statement I'm saying over here. The machine will also transform or translate the my query into the English statement to the machine language. So compile is required. And linker is also part of the that provides the linking between or binding between the my code to the machine code. So linkage or linking between there. So linker and compiler will work together, just like working on the C++ programming as well. That is the point you have to keep in mind, and this information will be stored into the object code. So that's why the arrow is given to the over here. Yes, this arrow is giving over here, so you can see. Just you can see the my laser point. Am I right? Just tell me. So far, is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Now after that, sophisticated you're passing the some query. So query will be executed by the DML. DML means data manipulation language, and that is a part of the data manipulation language. In the next slide, we will see this part detailed manner. So this is a data manipulation language query. So we are passing the query, and that is the category of the data manipulation language. In this category, what we have to say, the user is already available, but I need to update his contact number. So what I'm doing, I'm updating the contact details of my student. So I'm applying the DML, that is the data manipulation language part. And next is the DDL. As an admin has the right to create the new table, new record. But as a users, sophisticated user or a naive user, I'm just able to see my details only. So DTL stands for the data definition language. It means language inside the query part, we can create the data. So data can be created or data can be inserted by the data definition language interpreter. Okay, so why interpreter? Because when we are getting the error, so particular line will be a particular line will produce the error or generate the error. This is the part will not be generated. All these things are connected through the query evaluation engine. Query evaluation engine is a more important part which is required to evaluate the query. Suppose I just need to update the contact number, but unfortunately I filled the contact number of my student 9 digits only. Then I am getting again error. Why error? Why? Oh, this is not a valid mobile number. So I need to add one more digit. That is it. So query evaluation engine is that part. Next would be, suppose I'm typing the select all clauses. Okay, select wrong and where are the clauses. But unfortunately, I found clause. The clause I'm using the wrong spelling. Select the SELECT, but unfortunately, I'm typing the SELET. I forgot to type the C. So query evaluation engine will generate error. The query is not a valid. Okay, so that is the point. You will feel sometimes while typing the syntactical error. Same thing. Okay, and all these are connected with the DML compiler organizer to organize your DML query. Okay, so that is the point. This is mandatory part. This is an example or this is a category of our important portion. Here we have the query processor. Query processor is more important point we have to keep in mind. After reading the data from the users and evaluate the query is correct and the user putting the effect no issue. So now information will be passed on to the different way. So this part under come into the storage manager where the information to be stored. Before that, I'm asking you a simple question right now. If you are typing something on the notepad, you are not saving the notepad file right now, but you are typing notepad. So where information to be stored? Temporary somewhere, something to be stored somewhere else. So where is the information to be stored? Can anyone tell me right now? Can anyone tell me right now where the information to be stored temporarily? I'm not saving your notepad file so far, but information should be saved somewhere else. Just tell me where. Just tell me.
Main memory.
Memory. So which memory? Temporary memory.
Yes, sir. RAM. Main memory.
Yes, of course, main memory. So from the perspective from the main memory, I can say this the temporary area we are discussing where our information to be stored temporary purpose before saving the data on the memory that is handled by the temporary memory, and this part is known as the buffer. So I'm writing the query on the my system. That is, I need to select the name of those students who belong to the Neha. Okay, so I will get the list, but this data is not actually stored some other places. So now, what I need to do, what I will do, what I will do. This information is stored somewhere else that is known as the buffer. Buffer is a temporary storage area, and this concept you will see in the fundamental of the computers, or you will understand more detail about this topic inside the computer architecture. Okay, that is a part. So buffer manager will see all these things. This is the point you have to keep in mind. Okay. Suppose I have written the query, but I need to save my query properly. So what I will do? What I will do? I need to save my query in form of file. So that is to be handled by the file manager. So here I have file. Some things I'm just creating the file and some I have some permission to create the file or not. So authorization I'm using or not, integrating I'm managing or not. So I'm not able to run this query, or I'm not able to access the admin data. I'm able to access only the student data only. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just bind by the my student data only. So I'm not accessing the faculty data. I'm not allowed to access the deep data. I'm not allowed to access the other data. So this is what, this is the authorization you are not having. So same integrity you are having or not. So this is to be managed by the authorization and integrity manager. And last one is transaction manager. So in the transaction manager is saying to us, if we have the multiple transaction, that more 1,000 students are seeing the results simultaneously. So internal depend on the operating system's algorithm. Focus on the my words. Depend the operating system's algorithm where the server is handling. Server will see which request is coming first. So based on the first come first serve algorithm, or maybe depend on the algorithm nature, the request will be replied by the operating system. That is to be done by the our operating system. So lots of the queries are coming from the various students, and that is to be handled by the transaction manager. So transaction means an operation which is required to handle the query. So this part we will have seen and we will see in detail as well. So transaction manager could be authorization and integrity manager will be file manager, buffer manager. All these are the part of the our storage manager part. So this is our third part. Okay. So this is clear to all right now.
Yes, sir.
And last, yeah, good. And the last part I'm seeing over here, buffer manager, file manager, all these are connected over here. And see, all these are connected to the actual disk where the information to be stored. Statical data I'm talking about, this represented by the mathematical. If I need to see my grade, this grade is not filled by the faculty. This grade will be evaluated by the system only. So what is the formula we are using to maintain particular column to see the grade of the student? So that is a mathematically. So this mathematically information will be stored somewhere other places into the our disk. So here we have the statistical data. And just like example, I'm taking here the minimum value. Okay, maximum, average, okay, average, standard deviation. So lots of the things we have seen. So that is to be stored into the here. When talking about the data dictionary, so data dictionary is saying to us we need to store the information about the data. Okay, so if I need to check the student's fees, so I will not see the personal detail of the student, but I need to see the student name, roll number, and his or her fee status detail. So this data is also mapped with the other data. So it will tell about the data about data. It means we are seeing the student detail, student fees detail from the his personal data. So mapping will be there. So roll number will be mapped there. So data about data, and this can also keep the information about the other part, just like the I need to check the name of the student who belongs to the Bhopal city only. So I'm able to see all the data. So this also is to somewhere other place into the memory, and that is also handled by the disk storage. Indices is very simple concept. Is saying to us, I store the roll number first 20, then I store the roll number 90, then I store the roll number 18, then I'm storing the roll number 20, then I'm storing the roll number 19 into the my record list. But you will see all these are not sorted either by the ascending or descending. These are not sorted by the ascending or descending. So what I need to do? So indices just coming from the word index. So followed by the sorting by the name or sorting by the roll number or enrollment number, we will see the information I am getting followed by the roll number price. Same thing I'm taking real application right now. Students are registering their courses, but students are registering their courses on the different time. So I'm not sorting their roll. I'm not sorting their name by the time when they have registered. I'm sorting their name by the roll number. So I can easily trace out the my thing, what I need to do. I need to put the attendance, I need to give the attendance, so I can easily check over. So this is to be handled by the indices part. Okay, so this is the all the things are managed by the disk storage, and disk storage is more important point. So this is overall architecture we have in the four category. One is user category, next one is user query processor, and next one is storage manager, and last one is a actual disk storage where data to be stored. This is the point. Yes, tell me any doubt over here.